In this series, we are touring the UK and Ireland, looking for the energy solutions of the future. Is there a sustainable energy solution to our energy needs? We meet some prominent individuals and companies spearheading development of sustainable energy, and we ask them, how will the world make the transition? When will it happen? And are we there yet? Today, I have the pleasure of visiting the University of Warwick and meeting with Dr. Ben Silverstone, Director of the WMG Skills Centre. Welcome to Future Models, Ben.
Thank you.
Firstly, what is WMG?
We're very focused on driving the agenda of UK manufacturing and UK industry as a whole. And we do so through our applied research, and we have applied research in a number of areas, including future energy systems, smart connected vehicles, advanced materials, for example, and through our education programs. So we have a range of undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, as well as degree apprenticeships. And then most recently, through my initiative, the WMG Skills Centre, which is very much focused on providing short, sharp, upskilling, reskilling opportunities for our industrial partners to help them to stay on the curve with the rapid change in technological process.
So today we're talking about energy, and in that context, what do you think are the future skills needed for a sustainable energy future?
So we've done a lot of work, particularly through initiatives like the National Electrification Skills Framework, which has helped us to start to understand what the future skills needs will be in this space. What we are seeing, particularly around future energy, future transport, the way that things are changing for utilities and delivery, and even the way that we're looking at things like the retrofitting of old building stock, is that we're starting to see a range of cross-cutting skills. And that means that we can stop thinking about our traditional views of different sectors. So previously we'd think about automotive over here and aerospace and rail, and they'd be doing very much their own thing. They'd have their own national academies, their own professional bodies, and they'd be very focused on what they're doing. But we're seeing that future energy is allowing us to say, well, actually, if you have skills in batteries, robotics, motors, power electronics, software engineering, you can work across a whole range of traditional sectors just with that particular skill set. You're just applying it in different ways because those technologies are now so cross-cutting. And in a lot of ways, that makes it easier. And it makes it easier because we can look at skill sets that we can design once and apply in lots and lots of different contexts. But also from a workforce mobility perspective, it makes it easier for someone to understand that just because they've been working in automotive doesn't mean they can't work in other areas. And we very much view through the electrification skills work that somebody may start their career working in one traditional sector in one particular role and end somewhere completely different, because that's the way that their skills journey has taken them. And the way that future energy is shaping up really lends itself to that kind of activity.
How do you excite the future workforce? So when I think about my customers, some of them are working towards building fusion reactors. How do you share that information with the future workforce and get them excited about it?
Well, this is where the real challenge lies. And as I say, we've got to serve different customer groups. So we've got to recognize that by when we look at 2050, 50% of the workforce that will be employed in 2050 are already in work. And when we dial that back to, say, the 2035 deadline for the banning of combustion engine vehicles, it's even greater than that. So we have a huge bulk of that is people who are already in work. So how do we address certain areas of that? How do we look for people who are perhaps employed but underemployed and target them and get them interested? How do we look at people who are unemployed but employable and target them to say, well, here are the kinds of opportunities that are available to you? How do we look at people whose existing roles are now under threat? So if you're a combustion engineer, chances are your role is going to be under threat, and we need to look at how we transition those people into new roles. How do we understand what that will do to churn within the workforce? We fully recognize that there are going to be people who don't want to make that transition in this period of time and will exit. And then finally, how do we address the issue of people coming out of education and coming through, who will be the future of the workforce going forward? So each of those has different drivers, and we need to address those different drivers. But one thing is for sure is that this energy transition is creating roles that have never existed before. And so whilst some roles will draw down in other areas, ultimately, we will have hundreds of thousands of new roles coming forward that we need to fill. And so we need an education system that can respond to that over time.
Thank you, Ben. And if there was one message you could give to industries or organisations that are worried about skill shortages for the future, what is that message?
Any company, as far as I'm concerned, right now that does not have a concrete plan to invest in skills in the future is dead in the water. They cannot stand still anymore. There has to be this constant change because skills are changing faster and in greater bulk than ever before. I think business should view this as a fantastic opportunity. There are people out there that want to do these things. They just need a little bit of support to do it. And yes, everyone wants to bootstrap themselves off lots of experience that they can buy in. But ultimately, the only way we're going to meet this skills transition is to grow our own. We have to get much, much, much more effective at growing our own and commit to that, because that is what will draw inward investment and allow us to move forwards.
Dr. Ben Silverstone, thank you very much.
My pleasure.